Welcome to the messy garage. It's been about 25 hours since I put the escape board on, so I'm getting to this a little later than I wanted to. I usually don't like going more than 24 hours with the escape board because they can start figuring out how to get back through it. But it's been a busy morning, so I'm heading out to pull the honey super, take off the escape board, and I'm gonna put this on a tripod so you can watch the whole process. And if it's really long, I may speed it up for you. Just getting the smoker nice and smoky here. So, I'm gonna pull this honey super here. Gonna remove the bee escape board. And once this is off, I've got to move fairly quickly. I'm gonna take it into the garage, close my garage door, because the bees, they know when their honey's being taken, and they can get grumpy and they can start kind of going after me. So, and they'll even come and try to recollect the honey out of it, and I don't want that to happen. So I got to get the super into a room that they cannot access. Boy, there we go. Really shouldn't be any bees up in the top, or there should be very few of them. Okay. I don't want to put too much smoke down into the honey because I don't want it smoky honey. Don't want that flavor. Okay. The bee escape board has worked pretty well. There are still bees up in here, so I'll have to do this pretty quickly here. Hopefully I can. They're just a handful of bees, not too many. And hopefully no queen, because I don't have a queen excluder under this super. Okay, I didn't take it right into the garage because I do have to go through it and brush some bees out of the frames before I take them into the garage. But there we go. The bee escape board is off. I am going to brush these girls down in and then just close it up. Okay, I've brought the honey super over into the shade. And as you can see, if you look down in it, there are a lot fewer bees than normal, but there are still bees in there. And so before I can take the honey super, put it in my garage, I've got to get those bees off. So here's the process I follow to do that. Okay, so I'm just gonna work through each frame, pulling it up and out and brushing the bees off. And I'm also keeping an eye, because this doesn't have a queen excluder, I'm hoping that the queen is not in here. So I'll keep an eye out for her as well. Okay, now that one, let's get all you girls off. That's a smushed one. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, after I brushed off the bees, I'm going to take this into my garage, close the door, so that each frame is free of bees and they don't come back onto it. "10 minutes ago, all of this was in the hive. Now it's here on my kitchen counter, ready to be extracted." All right, here's my setup to start this whole process for the second time this year. I've made hopefully some improvements to it. Maybe not so much on this end, but on that end when I get to it, when I get to the extractor. So I have my heated knife. I've got my Variac so that I don't burn out the knife. I'm gonna turn that on, get that heating up. Let's put about 90 volts through it. And or 90 amps, I guess, since it varies the current, not the not the voltage. So we're gonna get this heated up and start uncapping some honey. Now, you might have noticed on the speed frame of that there were some sections that the knife didn't cut because the cappings are too flush with the edges of the frame. And so I don't want to dig down in with the knife because it gets a little too aggressive and I'll lose more honey than I want to. So I'm going to use the scratcher. Now, it's kind of a misnomer. It's not really a scratcher. It's more of a gently get underneath the capping and pull upper. So I'm just going to go through the sections that I couldn't get uncapped with my knife and just kind of pull those cappings up and out. All right, here we are at the extractor. I've put 2 frames in, the 2 frames that I just uncapped. It's a similar setup to what I did last time, but I've made it more robust and hopefully a little bit more stable. I attached my motor here to a big piece of 2x12 that I've left over, and then I've clamped that to my kitchen table. So that should all be very stable. And I have my extractor on a stool to get it to the right level so that it can connect to the motor. So here we go. I'm guessing that's probably going to be about as good as I get it. Let me just check. Yeah, that's pretty dang good. So I'm going to flip these around, extract the other side of each frame, and then go on to the next set of uncapping. Well, I finished spinning all of the frames, and I don't know. Let me see if I can get this to focus. That's a good bunch of honey that came out of 10 super frames. So now comes the fun part. Eventually, the honey stops flowing out of the extractor, but that doesn't mean that there isn't any honey left. It just means that there's not enough to get out of the honey gate. See, there's this space there. So here's what I do to get the last bits of honey out, and this just takes a lot of patience. I take a stool, turn it upside down, and then it supports the extractor there, and I raise the extractor on an angle just by putting a towel here, and it's tall enough to put my bucket and strainer underneath. And so I'll just open this honey gate now, and should flow again, and I'll just leave it there for quite a while and let all of the last dregs of the honey flow out of the extractor. Still slowly pouring out, just a little bit, but every little bit is golden, right? So this is what is left in the upper sieve after a harvest. Lots of little pieces of wax. There's some dead bees and bee parts in there. But that's the bulk of the crud that comes out of the honey. And we'll just take a peek down in the actual extractor. You can see there's still, let me see if I can get a better shot. If you look down there, you know, there's still some honey pooling there, and that's what we're just waiting for, all that, as much of that as possible, to come out. Well, we're getting down to the very end of this, but there's still a little bit of honey dripping out. So I'm just gonna give it that time that it needs. Probably just let it go overnight. I've also put the cappings in here, and I'm just letting those drip out as well, and then I'll process those probably tomorrow. So I'll finish up bottling everything tomorrow.